What's up, guys? And welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 4, where we have a best of two series. My God, it's not a good time to just now start to stop being able to talk. And yes, I think that sentence made sense. But this is a best of two series we have going between Void Boys and Root Gaming on the Radiant and Dire, respectively. Here on HeflaTV 2, we're going to be bringing you both games. I'm Mike Loris, and I have Grandis also here. How you doing, man?
Doing fine. Hopefully I sound good on your end. You're a little bit tinny, but hopefully my mic's getting through. As far as both of these teams, we should be in for a fairly close game. On a good day, both of them could take games off of each other. The early ban Center and Faceless Void taken out by Root Gaming, and Death Prophet Terrorblade banned out by Void Boys, leaving Scarth Mage and Brewmaster in the pool, which will be picked up. First pick Brewmaster by Root Gaming, and follow-up from Void Boys is Scarth Mage and Tide.
Yeah, we just saw these two teams play yesterday, in fact. I believe Root Gaming had a 1-1 against Boreal, and Void Boys, I don't recall if that was a 1-1 as well. It might have been a 2-0 in their favor or something like that, but yeah, I don't really know. Either way, Void Boys have been impressing me lately, and Root Gaming, they were a little bit inconsistent yesterday. Now they're down another one of their standard teammates, so that's definitely not good, but let's see if they can pull something together. It is going to be a Slark second pick for Root, so picking this hero up rather early.
Yeah, definitely. They're also picking him up into a nice single target silence from the Scarth Mage as well as a Ravage. I'm not sure if this is necessarily the best Slark game, although assassinating the Scarth Mage is fairly easy for the Slark, especially if he gets the likes of the Blink Dagger. I don't think it's a bad pick, but I think there are other heroes in the pool that would have suited Root Gaming a little bit better, and I think they could have gotten away with leaving the Slark in the pool until the second stage.
Yeah, Slark is definitely a difficult hero to lock down, but if you see a Slark on the enemy team this early on, then you could very highly prioritize stuff in order to lock him down. It is going to be a Razor banned out first from Root. Maybe they're just going to pick the Slark and then let the chips fall where they may and just say, okay, well, Slark is in our lineup, and if he's hard countered, so be it. We're just going to run with it anyway because really they don't have much of a choice. For Void Boys, and they have a much safer opening, like Tidehunter is going to be having an impact most of the time, and Scarth Mage is kind of similar to that, especially versus a Slark and a Brewmaster. So really for Root, they're just going to be banning out overall threatening heroes, and well, Wraith King, wouldn't really consider him one of those threatening heroes, but sure, why not?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's good enough to warrant the ban. I don't know. He's still a pretty solid hero, even though he's been seeing less play as of late. Void Boys just banning out some stunning supports as Root Gaming are both lacking, or are lacking both of theirs in the Ogre Magi as well as the Earthshaker, and then pick up the Sand King for themselves. Even more team fight and magic damage for them.
And even more tools to deal with the Slark. It has a lot of burst with the ultimate, and if you catch him from a very long ways away with a Blink Burrow Strike, then Slark is unlikely to be able to pact out of that. And generally for Void Boys, the more mobility they have, the better. When you're up against a Brewmaster who's working with Split, and a Slark who's working with Pact, you always want to be catching them by surprise. And, well, if you are going to be looking to do that, then Sand King is definitely the hero to pick up. So, Void Boys, they have quite a bit of magical damage, actually, and they have pretty much all their more utility support heroes online. Now they have to look for damage, and there are always going to be those damaging heroes. With so many stuns, maybe they're even going to look to something like an Invoker.
Yeah, they definitely could afford to go for something like an Evoker. As for Root Gaming, however, the supports are still in the pool. I think the one that sticks out to me, Rubik, would be really nice for them, just giving them an instant disable for any Blink Initiation coming out from the Tidehunter, and the potential to steal Ravage, and also getting your hands on the likes of a Burrow Strike. But scratch that, they're going to go for an Abaddon.
Yeah, Root Gaming went for a pretty peculiar build hero comp yesterday, and, well, hopefully we won't be seeing any jungling Terrorblades today, although it is possible for game number 2. This time he's banned out. Abaddon as the pick is going to make it very difficult for anything that Void Boys do in order to actually stick. Like if they throw a silence on Slark, he could pact it out, or he could get Aphotic shielded out, or Brewmaster can get Aphotic shield into a split after he gets silenced, stuff like that. So Root are going to be certainly playing in a frustrating way for Void Boys. I don't think frustration actually wins you many games, though, so they're going to have to look to their lanes right now, and even though Slark and Brewmaster are capable laners, Abaddon really doesn't contribute that much, so Root, maybe they're just going to play this just super passively, but I really don't like it when teams do this. I mean, you could always pick up an Abaddon really late, and I really just don't like it when teams go super passive. I don't think that's really the way to go in this current stage of Dota.
Yeah, I think that's fair, especially with the Brewmaster and Slark. They're heroes that don't really thrive on playing passively that early on. I suppose until they get Blink Daggers, they're not going to be wanting to roam that aggressively on. But if you have supports to set up for a Slark Pounce or for a clap coming out from the Brewmaster, they definitely can get kills, and I think it's a little bit of a wasted potential coming out from Rude. That said, as I recall yesterday, the Abaddon was fairly active rotating around the map and just making sure that any ganks that came their way ended up not working out, just shielding and then healing up the heroes. And when you do have a shield on a Slark, as you said, it's very hard to lock him down, similar for the Brewmaster. I think it's an okay hero, but again, I don't think this is really the spot in the draft to pick him up because he's still fairly easily abused by Void Boys. They could go fairly greedy with their last two cores.
Yeah, and because this is also three melee heroes, Void Boys are going to get a lot more value out of both the Sand King and Tide Hunter, two heroes that, as far as those strength AoE teamfighters go, are really good at punishing melee picks with the Anchor Smash mostly. But, Burst Strike, if you line it up on two, maybe even three heroes, then you're feeling pretty good about yourselves. It is going to be that Invoker that I said before, so they're going to be able to now have a little bit of extra damage, and even though they do have the shield and the heal to deal with, it really isn't that much of an issue when you could Burrow Strike someone and then pretty much insta-gib them with a Sunstrike Mystic Flare. You could try to shield it, and it might work, but there's still a lot of damage coming out.
The next pickup for Rude, it's going to be a Viper for them. A fairly tanky front line between the Brewmaster, Slark, and Viper, but still, they're lacking a decent amount of control between all of their heroes. Their only true stun comes out from Brewmaster's ultimate and the Boulder Toss, and outside of that, there's really nothing. They can cancel TPs with Cyclones, but that's about it. And outside of Brewmaster's control, inside of his ultimate, there's nothing there for Rude, and that's problematic for them. They can't really find just one hero in order to remedy that fact.
Yeah, so they're really going to need some additional form of lockdown in some way in this game. It is going to be through a support hero. If you're talking about supports with a lot of disables, Lion is still in the pool and won't be the best hero for Root Gaming, quite honestly, but really, I don't really think they have that many better options. They've kind of drafted themselves into a corner right now. Like, they have very strong heroes for sure, but really they don't work with each other. Void Boys, they have a very nice balanced, lots of stuns, lots of AoE team fighting thing going on with their draft. And, I mean, I would say Void Boys have a stronger draft, but also we've been seeing a lot of games where teams that have a quote-unquote stronger draft just get outplayed at every turn. It's not impossible for Root Gaming to pull one of those out.
Yeah, definitely. Here for Void Boys, I think they could go for pretty much anything they wanted to as far as this safe lane farmer for them. Their other lanes are pretty self-sufficient, and the Scarth Mage and Sand King can play fairly passively, and they're going to go for the Meepo. I actually really like this pick here. Root Gaming have very little to deal with the Meepo.
Yeah, this is always a hero that's interesting to see. First of all, let's get that out of the way, but there's very few tools, you said, in order to deal with them. Like, what are they going to actually do about a Meepo? Are they going to have Slark try to kill off one of them in the midst of all the other ones? That's probably not going to work very well. Brewmaster will be able to split and, for the most part, keep himself safe versus the Meepo, but Clap and Haze can only get you so far, especially when Meepo has so much backup. So, Root Gaming, they need a support hero to deal with this Meepo that has a lot of AoE disables. I would say Shaker would be good. Of course, they can't get that hero, and it would also be a fourth melee. So they're going to highly prioritize range, and to deal with Meepo, that is a very narrow, very specific hero. And honestly, that hero really doesn't come to mind. Maybe Witch Doctor is just their best bet to out-sustain the Meepo.
Yeah, I think Witch Doctor is pretty much their best bet. It doesn't have the best setup for the Death Ward, but Paralyzing Cask is always really annoying to deal with as a Meepo, especially when you don't have all 5 of the Meepo cones, but it's going to be a Jakiro for them. It's going to be a nice lockdown spell for them in the Ice Path, but I don't think that this is the right route to go. I don't know, it doesn't seem sustainable enough.
I think it's actually pretty decent against Meepo. Like, again, Jakiro punishes melee heroes like none other. And when you're talking about a Meepo, generally his Meepos are all tightly clumped up together. You get additional value from the Liquid Fire, and between that and Drunken Haze, Meepo will, at certain times, really struggle in order to actually get any hits off. Oh. So it looks like we might be having a remake or something like that. I did not notice them chatting. But either way,
Yeah, I didn't either.
We might be having a couple of technical issues. Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm good. Okay. Well, it's going to be one of those games, guys, so Everyone leave. Let's get back into this one real fast.
Yep, pretty much. I'm pretty excited if they play passively for the first 10 minutes or so of this game. I think they're going to be fine as well. Just securing the Sand King early, Blink Dagger, and I don't think Root could punish that farm enough. It's a Jakiro Abaddon. That roaming duo isn't really a roaming duo at all. They can secure lane, farm, and maybe push down a tower, but they just don't do anything aggressively.
So it will be very difficult for Root, I predict, in this game. The bets, I think, are slightly in favor of Root, although, no. With the draft, I would be regretting my bet on Root if I actually did place that one. I would say Void Boys have this one more or less on lockdown, but you are always working with a Meepo. It is a hero that can get 100% shut down if you do not take proper precautions, so it is always possible for Void Boys to mess this one up, but hey, they have a Meepo in the game, and we'll see how he performs. It is going to not be better. Wah, wah.
That's not great. Oh, well, we might be in for another reload, and I suppose we can introduce the players and the heroes they're playing on. And we're not remaking.
Yeah, they're just complaining. Stop being whiny, guys. Okay, so we got on the Void Boys side, Mercy Please is going to be playing the Meepo Fly, is going to be supporting as the Sand King, and Omega Poner is also going to be supporting as the Scarith Mage. That leaves Tiburon towards the mid lane Invoker, and top lane is going to be played by Bien's Tide.
30 seconds to battle.
Yeah, and currently on the Dire side, we're going to have roaming into the enemy side. We're going to have Talera on the Brewmaster, Abaddon played by Lycus, Chicken MC on the Viper mid. I think that's going to be one of these heroes down here. Big Bad Bird's going to be playing on the Slark, and Jakiro handled by your boy JC. Nobody's going to bump into each other yet. And it looks like they're going to just back out of here. The Viper potentially going to be sitting in a dual lane with the Abaddon up against this Meepo. Not a lane that the Meepo is going to be very happy about, but he does have a Scarith Mage supporting him as well as the Sand King. So this isn't going to be a dominated lane by Root, although the Viper should be able to see us decently.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a half measure for Root in order to deal with the Meepo. They have a good hero on paper to deal with him in the Viper, and then a hero that really can't do jack against him in the Abaddon. So it is going to mess with the Meepo a little bit, but killing him off, I really don't see that happening. It'll be, I would say, more likely for someone on Root to die in this dual lane, just being up against the Sand King and Scarith Mage. It's pretty deadly even if you are a Viper with an Abaddon right behind you. So the dual lane probably isn't going to get that much. They're going to get a lot more done up on top lane, as Bien's Tidehunter is going to be poked and prodded constantly by the Jakiro, and well, when Slark gets a couple of levels, and he could suddenly help out with a pounce in, and that'll be a lot of hurt for the Tide. Even though he has Anchor Smash, he can't really defend against all of it.
Yeah, definitely not. And that leaves our mid lane matchup. The Invoker versus the Brewmaster should more or less be a wash. As down in bottom, it's Omega Poner to take a lot of hurt from Viper. Looks like he just got run down after throwing a couple of arcane bolts that ended up trading poorly as far as HP is concerned. Throws one more into Lycus, but this Scarith Mage really isn't accomplishing much.
Wow, we have a Sand King illusion messing with the entire creep wave of Root. This is going to put a double creep wave into the Invoker's hands, which will actually probably hurt him a little bit more than it's going to help him, especially if Talera keeps this lane under control for another 30 seconds to secure a rune. So that Sand King move might have hurt this lane a little bit, but it probably isn't going to matter too much. This is a pretty large freaking creep wave that Talera is not going to have to work with. And, well, it actually is going to be a rotation from the Jakiro. Maybe not. He's just going to secure the rune. So, yeah, they're going to leave the Slark up here with the Tide. It probably isn't the safest bet, so I don't think the Jakiro should be leaving, but he's already halfway down to the bottom lane. He's leaving the top lane for good.
Yeah, it's unlikely that the Slark is going to die, but 1v1 versus the Tide, Bien should be CSing very well and just being a nuisance to the Slark, especially since he's the one to secure the double damage rune on top. Jakiro makes his way down towards bottom, currently level 2 with Looking Fire and Dual Breath. He can be really annoying for the Meepo, but Mercy Please already has his level 3, so worst case scenario, he can always rely upon the stacks to bring him back into this game.
Yeah, so the difference between this bottom lane for Root, Viper, and Abaddon versus Viper, Abaddon, Jakiro is actually very small. Like, maybe if they had an Ice Path or a Dual Breath, they could have killed off the Scarith Mage previously, but I don't really see them getting any kills here. Void Boys, they probably aren't going to contest, so I mean, there's no really any chances of getting kills, but they were playing pretty passively to begin with, so I really don't see this Jakiro doing anything, and really I think there was no possible scenario where he would be able to do anything, so it's once again just the fault in Root's draft where they have heroes that are not actually able to contribute just because, I mean, what is a hero supposed to do with an Abaddon? Those two don't work together at all.
No, they definitely do not. And Mercy Please is able to get the experience inside the lane. They are going to be fairly reliant on these stacks, and it would have been wonderful if a block came out coming out from Root. They currently have a triple stack over in the medium camp that is all poofable or sandstormable, whoever gets to farm that one first. And no other stacks have been made yet on the other sides of the jungle, but they should eventually. Jakiro is fairly deep behind enemy lines, as is the Abaddon, but it's unlikely they'll be able to get any kills this way, just exerting a little bit of dominance over the enemy side of the jungle.
So they're going to stay the course. They're at least preventing Mercy Please from getting a whole lot of gold. Stopping the Meepo from getting experience is a little bit difficult without actually having kill potential, but I don't really think keeping him out of that is really worth it. Big Bad Bird is going to start fighting with Bien up on top. It's going to be very close for the Slark, dropping to 28 HP, and Bien's going to drop to 120 as Tolera in the mid lane is going to be the target of focus. There's an EMP for Tiburon. He's gone for a Wex build. No mana for the Brewmaster, and he's snapped up. He will book it down to the south and bottle up. The tornado will not crater him, but it will drop him in time for an Arcane Bolt to kill him off. That's going to be a nicely executed First Blood by Void Boy. He's wrapping all the way around, and you really don't expect that if you're the Brewmaster.
Yeah, I think the Wex build definitely could work out. Denim bottom Mercy Please is eating some Liquid Fire in one of his Meepos and then sending the other one back towards the lane. He's going to be zoned out a little bit, but nothing he can't manage. Both of these fish up in top lane have been going blow for blow, but it's a tighter to be forced back to base as Slark has a bottle to maintain his HP, and once the Big Bad Bird has level 6, that's not really going to happen again, as he'll always be at near or at 100% HP. Tiburon in mid has eaten a clap and a couple of hits from the Brewmaster, but nothing that he can't handle. This Wex build, it's going to be nice to control with the Brewmaster especially, and just making sure that people don't have mana on the enemy side, as Viper can get fairly mana strapped, as can a Jakiro.
Yeah, and even if the Slark is Shadow Danced, you could still hit him with an EMP, you could still hit him with a Tornado, and if you do, then that's just wasting a lot of the potential for the Slark during that Shadow Dance. Like, he has to either fall back because he has no more mana, or he will just be up in the air and not doing anything because he's up in the air. So it's actually a pretty good scenario for Tiburon. It is going to hurt his laning a little bit versus this Brewmaster, as you are without that extra damage, and well, you need that extra damage in order to convincingly outlast the Brew, but he's doing perfectly fine even without it. Mercy Please is going to get jumped by a Jakiro. Liquid Fire, Dual Breath. He's dropping pretty low, but we can see right now how useful Abaddon is as a hero in these scenarios. He's doing literally nothing, and it's mid lane where they get the kill.
That was beautiful. They perfectly changed him. He tried to get off the ultimate, and every time he did, right before he was about to transform, they either silenced, burrow struck, or tornadoed him. I didn't think they'd be able to get that kill before the split comes out, but they proved me wrong, and they're going to come away 2-0 in this middle lane. Now bumping into Jakiro. Not a lot of mana on a Tiburon, but it's enough for a Cold Snap, which might be enough to get Sand King in range for Burrow Strike. Still manaing up with that mana potion. Now he does have it, and they're going to go into your boy JC. Fly is going to survive enough, and they're going to be able to come away 3-0. Bannerin secured by the Viper and should be able to kill off Fly. I know it's a clap from Brewmaster to do him in, but Tolera can't really chase for much more. He does have an ultimate, however. Now with the Slark, he is invised up. Now going to open up into a Mega Poner. Does have a Pounce. Not going to throw it out yet. It is going to latch beautifully, however. Now jump in for BN. He has an ultimate. Doesn't want to spend it yet. The Shadow Down should keep Big Bad Bird alive. And Tolera does have stick charges if he needed to get up his ultimate. It's going to be 3-2.
I think the Tidehunter probably could have saved the Scarith Mage there if he teleported and just straight Ravaged, but Tolera not using his ultimate I think also was a potentially greedy move. It's going to be Lycus over near the bottom jungle to get hit with a double poof. He will shield himself, but the net is going to cut right through that. Deny attempt, not going to happen, and Meepo gets more or less a solo kill with a little bit of assistance from Fly, but Mercy Please now level 5, and he's very quickly going to get to that level 6 after he clears this, quad stack of neutrals. Root, they are, not surprisingly, a little bit behind in this game, and even though it's a nice rotation from the Slark going to get himself an assist with the help of an Invis rune, he actually just doesn't have anything else, and I don't really know what he's going to go for, but whatever he does go for is going to be a long ways away.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised that Slark has nothing on top of this. I suppose it's because he backed off for the bottle instead of going for something else in the safe lane. Sitting on 700 gold, and I presume it's a Blink Dagger. Maybe he goes for the treads first. But either way, currently we see Tidehunter farming up a little bit of an ancient stack of his own. His item choice is going to be Tankos for him, just to get up to a little bit more HP. Has some stick charges on top of it. Still haven't put that ultimate to good use. Burrow Strike and bottom going to catch out the poor Viper, who now eats a double poof. With the slows coming out from the Geostrike, it might be enough to chase him, although he has been purged off by the Aphotic Shield. Now Viper looking to make a turn. He gets off the Sand King with one auto attack. All he needed was 2 points up in that Nether Tux, and it's going to be the Sand King to lose his life in bot.
Yeah, Sand King, unfortunately, could have probably just ran straight home, or like if he didn't turn around for a second, then he could have been fine. But that moment of indecision got that one additional right click with Phase Boots build on the Viper. He is going to be hitting very hard. He is going to be going for a mech, it looks like, straight after. So pretty much another mixed build for the Viper, but still very effective. Is going to help him get enough damage on the Sand King with that additional kick of movement speed. But the Viper's still on the bottom lane, still farming very well. In fact, he's on top of the last hit chart. You can rely on your Viper to do quite a bit of heavy lifting, but I don't know, because even though he's doing very well, he has to worry about this Meepo, and Meepo is a really good hero versus Viper, in that you can only focus down one Meepo at a time, and that is going to be a hard task. It is going to be top lane where we see Void Boys setting up. They don't have Blink Dagger on the Sand King, but they're just going to wait and maybe bait this Jakiro into a Ravage. It's going to be a little bit difficult to line this up properly, but it is possible.
Yeah, definitely. Currently, Meepo is not the highest farming hero on the field, but it is going to be Jakiro that's caught up by the Burrow Strike. Ravage not necessary, as they just line up both of the spells from the supports. Fairly straightforward kill on the Jakiro, who honestly was getting a little too comfortable up in that top lane.
Yeah, Jakiro is going to be very quickly reminded that he is in fact a support hero, and he does not get free space to farm. Big Bad Bird, rotating around, is going to go back into his lane. And he could survive those types of things for sure, but really Slark can't do that much to the Tidehunter unless he's going to try for it. He does have maxed out Pact. That's going to do quite a bit of damage to Bien, who gets the Anchor Smash right before. No, he actually doesn't. So Big Bad Bird is going to be hitting him very hard, but maxing out the Pact in this case is actually working out pretty well for the Slark. He's dropping pretty low up on top, but he's going to be fine. Kind of upset about the fact that he didn't get the kill, but you know, what are you going to do? It's going to be a mid lane where we're going to see a potential setup, and we'll see if Tolera can actually split out this time, unless they don't go for him. That's also possible.
Yeah, they're going to set their eyes up on top instead. Fly hasn't been playing the Sand King very passively. In fact, has been roaming very heavily with the Skywrath Mage. So this Blink Dagger is quite a ways away, especially since he went for the Arcane Boots. Currently, the Big Bad Bird might be the one that they catch out. Fly's looking for the Burrow Strike. He's going to find it, but the leap away. That was a very weird interaction. He silenced mid-leap. They're going to drop an Ice Path Macro Fire onto the Skywrath Mage. Now Big Bad Bird with the ultimate is trying to run into BN, but he does get the Anchor Smash off. So the Slark can't really do much damage. Now with some backup from the Invoker, they're going to drop Tornado into 2 with the EMP as well. Ravage onto all 3 of them. The EMP lands nicely. I bad in the first fall, and now looking towards the Chikyo. Are they able to chase down your boy JC? I'm not sure if Flies in our Burrow Strike cooling down. And there you go. Lands onto 2. Mid-animation of the Viper's ultimate. Now going to throw it into Tiburon, however. Tiburon might be in a bit of a pickle. Doesn't have his ultimate, or rather, excuse me, invoke to get out of this one. He's not going to be able to invis in time. Now Fly inside the invis. It's going to be a double kill for Chicken MCs. The Burrow Strike auto attack is going to be enough to kill off the Viper. 2 for 3 up in the top lane, and I think that's going to be about it, as Tolera doesn't have enough mana to split.
A nicely won fight for Void Boys, landing that Ravage and the EMP straight after. You're kind of expected to win at that point. It's going to give Tide his Blink Dagger. But that was also a 4v5 fight by the end of it. Mercy Please would have no part of that. Meepo just wants to farm, and Void Boys also didn't have a Mystic Flare, so that could have been even worse, potentially, for Root if they stuck around for just a little while longer. They do lose the Viper in the end, who I think could have potentially survived. He was sitting in the Sandstorm, and that actually does a lot of damage if you just sit there for a very long time, even if you do have Corrosive Skin. So it's going to be not the best fight for Root. Again, it's kind of to be expected with their type of team comp. They're not going to be able to take fights, especially without a split. Boy JC on the mid lane is going to get snapped up, concussive shot as well, and Jakiro can do nothing about this. He's going to go down, although Lycus was in the area for potentially a shield. It came out a little bit too slowly. Now he's going to be chased down. He has no level 6, and Lycus is going to Anchor Smash to lose his shield instantly. Arcane Bolt will kill him off. That's a double kill for Omega Poner. Does anyone else from Root want to mess with these 3 heroes? Because I wouldn't recommend it. They're going to potentially run to Big Bad Bird, who should not be here. He's going to pop his illusions and then try to hide, it looks like, although they should know where he is. Do they have anything useful? They have a tornado, and they're going to head down towards the bottom lane, but I don't think Mercy Please really needs the help, because he's going to get a solo kill on the Viper. No help needed. That's 3 kills for Void Boys, and nothing for Root. Like, absolutely nothing. Might be even a little bit more, as Bien is going to chase down Tolera. This is not going to be a dead Brewmaster, but he might be forced to use his split less than ideally.
I don't think he's going to force the split, but he's going to need a lot of damage because of it. Now Clap under tower, both of them are trading fairly evenly, and BN can't do much more than that. Both of them holding on to their important spells. Tidehunter Ravage still cooling down for about 15 seconds. Meepo, this is pretty close to the ideal situation for Meepo 12 minutes in. Currently treads as well as 2 portions of his Aghanims and only about 1400 gold till he has that item completed. And once he does, it's going to be incredibly hard for Root not only to kill him, but to deal with the damage that he's able to put out inside the team fights. Mercy Please is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Also, getting 2 kills as well as being involved in 1 additional one.
Yeah, 203 with almost complete free farm. It's pretty good for any hero, and Meepo is no exception to that. Root have not been doing nearly enough in order to deal with Meepo simply because they have their hands full with everyone else. Honestly, for Void Boys, they can take a 4v5 fight and come ahead pretty convincingly, as they have already shown in the top lane. And, well, once this Meepo gets his Aghanim Scepter, maybe a Blink Dagger after that, you know, any other item the Meepo could possibly want, he could take his time. Then Void Boys are going to take just absolutely devastating fights. And Root, they still have not used a split, I don't believe. Now they have a Blink Dagger on the Brew, so maybe a split is going to be incoming. But going for a Mercy Please right here is going to be very difficult with only Ice Path to disable him. Mercy Please is a free poof out. Unless he doesn't cast it, he's going to get brought down. Ravage is going to kick onto absolutely everyone. Burrow Strike onto 2 as well. They're sitting in the Macro Pyre, though, doing quite a bit of damage. And it will be, for the most part, Void Boys take a lot of damage, although it will be Abaddon to fall first. Still, the Sandstorm is there. Tolera thinking about going in for that tide. It's going to be your boy JC, who's being chased down by Omega Poner and Tuberon. Over in the side, he will put himself in a corner, and that might buy him a little bit more time. In fact, it will. He will die to a Gush, as Big Bad Bird is going to try to chase down both the Skywrath and the Invoker. Maxed out in the Wex. Invoker, you got to turn her. No, don't go that way. That's not a good way to run. He's going to go down. Now Bien is going to be chased down. He has a Blink Dagger. If he can only get a little bit more distance, he will blink out, but Fly is going to be the one who's in trouble. Is there any True Sight? It doesn't seem like there is. Fly might be fine. He lands a very short Burrow Strike onto pretty much no one, and Pounce will kill him off. Pretty much the best fight that Root could possibly ask for, even though they did get hit with a 5-man Ravage. Picking off the Meepo before any of that really sold that fight for them.
Yeah, definitely. Meepo got caught out in a really awkward situation, and he was alone. Despite having some help close, it wasn't close enough. Maybe if there was a Blink Dagger on the Sand King, it could have happened, but as soon as Meepo realized there was heroes on top of him, it was almost too late. If he was watching that Meepo in particular, maybe he could have saved himself. But I'm pretty sure he's miking over in the jungle. Now he's going to find himself a your boy JC. Poofs onto him with 3 of the Meepos. 1 more net should secure this deal. It's going to be Bien to take that last hit.
16-8, and Void Boys are actually not holding onto as much of a net worth lead as I previously thought, just because they're not farming as well. They're going to find Lycus, however. That's a level 5 Abaddon. That means no ultimate. Here comes the Brew for a lot of damage, but Big Up Bird sitting in Mystic Flare is going to drop, as well as Tolera. Okay, well, I'm sure the net worth chart will change shortly after that. Getting a 4 for 0 is pretty damn good. Can they go for a tower after this? They don't have the most pushing power without the Meepo being really healthy, and really none of the Meepos for Mercy Please are able to contribute, so maybe they don't get this tower, but getting 4 kills for pretty much nothing sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, definitely. Slark's build this game, although it's a little bit weird to see Dark Pact maxed out first, it does do more damage, and it almost was enough to kill off the Meepo, but they didn't have a Viper or anybody to follow up that damage. And now Meepo with the Aghanim Scepter is going to be pretty darn hard to bring down. And that poof damage is just going to get even more difficult for them to deal with. Tornado thrown out mid just for scouting purposes, but it's a 16-minute blink or Aghanim Scepter and treads on the Meepo. Not the fastest, but it's definitely on par for a good Meepo game.
And he's still working with the backup of Ravage. Very soon the Sand King will have his Blink Dagger and a Blink Epicenter on top of the Meepo, which just buys him more time to hit away or channel a poof to get out or just to do damage. Things are looking very good for Void Boys, and we'll take a quick look at how the updated graphs look. It's only 2,000 in net worth, 5,000 in experience. Root, they're farming pretty decently on their heroes, mostly on this Viper with 100 CS, but really it doesn't feel like Root are only 2,000 behind. It feels like they're a lot more behind just because of the weakness of their heroes. When you compare them to how Void Boys heroes are currently standing, they are going to be very aggressively roaming into the Void Boys jungle. They have a chance to find Mercy Please, but Void Boys, though they don't have any wards, they seem to know about this.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case. Currently, Slark has been sitting on a lot of gold, and I think he's pretty much the biggest problem for Root. He hasn't gotten anything. Smoke dissipates in mid, dropping wards on either side. Both have vision of it. They're going to de-ward the Dire Observer, and now they find themselves Viper. He's going to be shielded up as the Macropart lands on the sidelines. Ravage going to land on pretty much everything. Tolera inside of Mystic Flare. A nice epicenter as well as Burrow Strike from Fly is going to fly through. Now Big Bad Bird is going to be focused down. Meepo's getting focused. Mercy Please needs to poof out with at least one of these. Does get the double poof off, but not before he falls. Now we're going to see Chicken MC as well as Lycus be Burrow Strike. And it's a double kill kill for Lies. He kills the Viper on contact, and it's a 4 for 2. The only survivor is your boy JC, and he's not going to be survivor for long. Caught out now by another Burrow Strike by the Sand King. Momentarily, there you go, as well as a Cold Snap. They're going to be able to make this a full 5-man wipe, only losing the Meepo and Skywrath.
Man, 2 for 5, that's pretty damn good. The Tidehunter even blinked himself into the trees, and he was like considering, he was constantly considering using the Ravage and canceling it, but he did get it off in the end, and landing a Ravage onto everyone with the new Blink Dagger being shown off by the Sand King, landing a pretty decent epicenter Burrow Strike onto the Brewmaster, and then, you know, more Burrow Strikes down the line on multiple people. Fly's been performing pretty well on the Sand King, kind of, you know, bubbling under the surface, but his Burrow Strikes have been landing on several people several times, and with Void Boys' follow-up, Root just don't have anything going for them. They did not use the split there because Tolera was brought down so quickly within the duration of a Ravage Burrow Strike epicenter, and really, it doesn't matter who you are. That is a lot of magic damage, and Brewmaster is not currently tanky enough to withstand that. He does have a Cloak. I think that's a new pickup, so maybe he'll be able to survive in the future, but it's going to be certainly very close. Big Bad Bird is being stalked right now. He really just wants his Blink Dagger, although Burrow Strike, he's just out of range of the shop. However, he gets shoved into the range of the shop. He'll buy it anyway. He's going to get dropped, though. It's going to be yet another kill for Void Boys. Slark with the Blink Dagger. Nothing else. Can't really do that much unless he finds himself like the perfect opportunities, and those clearly just aren't happening for him.
Yeah, definitely. Currently, Mercy Please is working towards his Blink Dagger, and although he's having less net worth than the Viper, this Viper hasn't really been able to convert this net worth into anything huge. TPOA should keep being safe, as there's no way for Viper to cancel that. He'll be able to sustain his team, but he's building more utility than straight up damage, and honestly, this game, it's not going to help you here as he gets Burrow Struck. TP in for Mercy Please. He has a net, and he's going to throw it. Misses with the net, but the poofs are in. He has another net. Where's the third? He's not even going to need it. The Geostrike slow should be enough. Poofs in the last Meepo, and that's going to be the end of him. Net and Burrow Strike. His Fly is now on a killing spree.
Root are just constantly losing heroes. Like, I don't think they've taken a fight that has benefited them for almost the entire game. Hey, maybe this is going to be something that benefits them. Omega Poner, can the Slark kill him? With the Abaddon's Miscoil, he will. So that's finally a nice pick off for Root, although it's at a pretty steep cost. Like, getting a Skywrath Mage isn't ordinarily something to be celebrating, but hey, in this game, if you're Root, you celebrate any pickoff you can possibly find because they're not getting much. Maybe they're going to get a Roshan, although even though they do have maxed out Liquid Fire, their Roshan killing power is fairly limited. I mean, Slark does next to nothing versus Roshan, and Brewmaster is very nice, Lycus is nice for the sustain, but this is going to be a very, very slow Roshan, and if Void Boys even consider moving anyone in the area, they will very quickly know about this and will be able to crash it. They have an Observer Ward in the area, which may have spotted some rotations in, although it doesn't seem like it did.
Yeah. Although the gold advantage is in the favor of Void Boys, it's not as impressive as the experience advantage. Sunstrike in the pits now going to spout out this for Sean, which is only in half health. And honestly, Root need to book it. There's no way that they can stick around this pit. There's going to be a blinking Fly and a blinking Tidehunter, and they just can't do anything about it. Yeah, Meepo can pretty much solo this Roshan. I think this is Void Boys for the taking. Root don't have the best team for fighting around Roshan pit. Jakiro as well as Brewmaster is nice, but the fight's going to break out mid. Tiburon focused down by the Slark, but it's just not going to be enough damage. Ghostwalk's going to keep himself safe. It's on the backline. Epicenter does nothing. Burrow Strike doesn't land either. His Fly completely whiffs. Ravage on the sidelines is going to proc the ultimate the Abaddon as well as kill off the Slark. Now looking to chase down anybody else. Poof's coming out from the Meepo as well as right clicks will kill the Viper before he makes it back into the base. Mercy Please is working with all of these Brewlings, doesn't do any damage with his Poofs, and it's also taking a lot of damage from the Liquid Fire of your boy JC. Now Photic Shield is going to proc. They're going to kill off a couple of these Brewlings, and now they're chasing for a little bit more. Jakiro healed up by the Abaddon as well as shielded up. The Tornadoes, however, going to land, perching off that shield, and now they're going to bring down your boy JC in a heartbeat. Burrow Strike going to land squarely onto the Abaddon, making it a clean 4 for 0 despite having a fairly messy engage.
Yeah, even with a completely whiffed Epicenter Root, they get the split off and do pretty much nothing with it. Losing the Slark right off the bat, definitely not great, but Slark can't really contribute that much either. I mean, he's so fragile. We saw how much he was actually able to do. And now Root, I mean, they did a little bit of damage to Roshan, but it will be Void Boys to clean the rest of it up. They have a pretty good Roshan killing lineup, with the Meepo being able to do so much damage, plus they get the extra Gush, you know, sometimes whenever it will go through that spell block. But they clear out Roshan and take a 4 for 0 trade. Really nothing but wins for Void Boys right now. And Root, without like maybe an Epicenter and Ravage completely missing, what could possibly go better for them? Like, already a completely whiffed Epicenter is pretty good, and you would expect them to take a decent fight after that, but that clearly didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely not. This Meepo now with 2 lives blink as well as Aghanims is a very happy Meepo. This is pretty much all you can ask for 22 minutes in the game, and also has enough money to get an ultimate orb if his next item is going to be Scythe. Or maybe he decides to ship away those power treads, not really get rid of them, but upgrade to the boots of travel. Currently, Tiburon flies, will also make opponent get walked into by Talair. That's not your house, bud. And he's going to be brought down. Slark, however, gets a nice pack as well as pounce on the poor Skywrath Mage. Gush goes the way of the Slark, and they're cutting him pretty effectively, but not effectively enough. A nice 3-man Burrow Strike, and now they're going to bring Mercy Please into this fight. He has a couple of foofs. He's going to be ice pathed up and can't do much about this, but now right-clicking your boy JC, he's going to fall very quickly. Viper's going to be able to clean up the Invoker, but an Epicenter Burrow Strike lands onto Chicken MC, and he'll be brought down, and GG well played. As simple as that, called out by Root Gaming.
Yeah, that's 20 minutes in, and Root, they have not taken a single victory throughout, I want to say, the entire game. Like, it felt like the game was over, and it's kind of weird to say, oh, I mean, they just lost the game, but I feel like the game has been over for a very long time now. The fact that they had such a weirdly greedy lineup that didn't actually do anything, and from minute 0 to minute 23:20, Root never actually did anything. It was always Void Boys calling all the shots, and really I would say it's an impressive performance by Fly. Those burrow strikes were impeccable. But anyway, guys, this is going to be it for game number 1. Game number 2 is going to be coming up very quickly, so don't go anywhere. There is more action to come, and hopefully it's a little bit less one-sided. See you there, guys.